suspend disbelief for a moment and walk with the idea that this is real. That the ruins that are present on the moon and on Mars, the ancient temples, are in fact the gifts of our own progeny. Can you imagine what is going to happen when those temples, which were prayed to as the gods, are found out to be nothing more than the creations of men, that the men themselves were those who were being worshipped? Will fall headlong into the pool of Narcissus. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we'll find truth, love, God, something other than buildings and stones and marble. Maybe we'll find out who he really is. Or she, it, or just us.
Began the deep rabbit hole of the Dan Burisch saga when I, in 2012, started looking into some cases that I had not looked into in the past, and I heard about this person, Bill Uhouse.
Yep.
And his working with a, quote, J-rod, and I didn't even know what that meant at the time.
That's the name that the linguist gave him. So he knew J-rod.
How much individual contact did you have with him?
Oh, he used to come in with Teller and some of the other guys occasionally on questions that maybe we'd have, you know.
The very first interview with Dan in 2002 had my friend Bill Hamilton's voice in the background asking Dan questions. And I thought, oh, this is Bill's voice. Man, I really trust Bill. So that got me very interested to follow up, because I had heard and read how nobody believed Dan in the 2000s. He was kind of ostracized is the word. He was ostracized and believed to be a fraud. But I was looking at so much documentation, so many interviews. He seemed to be very comfortable talking about the science behind what he was speaking about. And then I just went down a major rabbit hole there. McConnell and Dr. Edward Teller played a crucial role in recruiting Dan into Project Aquarius. A significant part of this program was conducted at Groom Lake, Nevada, commonly known as Area 51, but now renamed Air Force Test Center Detachment 3. Project Aquarius was initiated in 1953 to study extraterrestrial life forms, and in Dan's case, an individual species known as a J-rod. This J-rod was one of two kept alive from the infamous Kingman, Arizona crash of 1953. S4 is a highly classified subterranean facility in a remote area of the desert extending 5 levels deep. The facility itself is meticulously camouflaged, reinforcing the deep secrecy of the program. Within the lowest level of the complex, a specialized chamber was constructed to maintain the precise environmental conditions necessary for the J-rod's survival. Dan's responsibilities required direct interaction with the being, primarily for biological tissue sampling and genetic studies. One of the most extraordinary technologies at the time within the S4 Papoose facility was the looking glass device, along with the Orion Cube. Both allowed for glimpses into future events and the ability to foresee outcomes in advance. And important to establish early on is that in 1973, when Dan was 8 years old, he had an abduction episode. Dan witnessed a chevron-shaped craft and had missing time for hours. The J-rod identified himself to Dan as Kaela. The designation J-rod translates to 15, referring to the number of light years from Earth. Kaela was classified as a P+52 J-rod, meaning he was 52,000 years more evolved than present-day humans. At the time, he was 622 years old. The cube was reportedly used by elitists in various countries to look into their own futures and select favorable paths. Essentially, there would be an Earth catastrophe that we were well aware of in advance, but would claim the lives of 4 billion. In anticipation of this, a significant population would migrate off-planet to Mars, and another lives in a subterranean underground zones. After some time, the Mars population resets to the Orion constellation, where the subterranean group, after 4,000 years, resets far away at the Zeta Reticuli star system. The evolutionary changes because of the difference in the environmental conditions, as well as forced manipulation of DNA, creates the tall Orions, and the ones that were subterranean become the Greys and J-Rods. Extraterrestrial treaties exist and influence choices done on our behalf without our knowledge. A significant catastrophe may unfold in the near future and split the evolution of mankind's future. Groups like Mj-12 may have fostered agreements and treaties with multiple species that even today may affect geopolitical choices with our allies and enemies. Reality and consciousness are far beyond what we perceive, and multiple timelines and time travel are real.